Welcome to Cheater Confessions. Let's get started with today's story. I remember the morning Karen left for that girls' trip. She stood in the doorway with her suitcase, smiling like she was posing for a travel ad. Bright tank top, new sandals, hair curled more than usual. 3 days, she said, kissing my cheek. Just me, Jenna, and Paula. We need a break from everything. I nodded. Have fun. Be safe. She hugged me a little too quickly and hurried out to the car. At the time, nothing felt wrong. It was just a weekend getaway at a beach town 2 hours south. She deserved a break. We both did. But when she came back Sunday night, something was different. She walked inside like she was carrying someone else's memories. She set her bag down and gave our daughter, Mia, a weak hug, then went straight to the shower. Later that evening, she came into the kitchen wearing an oversized hoodie even though it was warm. Trip was good? I asked, keeping my tone even. Yeah, she said, grabbing her phone. Just tired. Long drive. Her screen lit up nonstop. She tilted it away every time. Her phone had never been glued to her hand like that. Over the next few days, the changes kept stacking up. New clothes suddenly appeared in the closet. She stayed up late texting Jenna about work gossip, laughing under her breath. One night at dinner, she slipped. We went to this seafood spot near the pier. She froze mid-sentence. Paula and I, when we were walking around, except she had told me earlier they stayed inland the whole time. I didn't correct her. I didn't raise my voice. I just watched her restart her sentence like nothing happened. Later that night, while she showered, I checked our joint bank account. Small hotel bar charges, a restaurant in a part of town she never mentioned, and one charge for 2 drinks, clearly listed on the receipt image the bank app stored. She had ordered a whiskey sour. She hates whiskey. I put the phone down, walked to the living room, and sat there in silence. Not angry, not emotional, just awake. If there was something to uncover, I would do it. But I wouldn't rush it. I would let the truth come to me, piece by piece. A week after the girls' trip, Metro Health Systems held their annual family day at a big sports complex. Karen insisted we go. She said it would be good for appearances, which was an odd choice of words, but I didn't comment. Mia was excited anyway, so we went. Karen dressed like she was walking a runway. Tight jeans, fitted blouse, hair straightened and glossy. She barely looked at me on the drive there, just scrolled through her phone, smiling at messages she wouldn't let me see. When we arrived, coworkers swarmed her immediately. She laughed louder than usual, touching people's arms when she talked, acting like everything in her world was perfect. That's when I saw him. Lucas Hayes, Karen's coworker. Tall, clean-shaven, confident in that corporate way. He wore a Metro Health polo and carried himself like the entire event was hosted for him. When his eyes landed on Karen, something in his expression shifted, like recognition mixed with a private joke. Karen waved back at him with a little too much enthusiasm. I watched quietly. A few minutes later, Lucas approached with his wife, Emma, and their teenage son. Emma smiled politely, but her eyes didn't soften. They flicked from Karen to Lucas, then to me, and back again. She wasn't clueless. She was studying. Lucas shook my hand firmly. Dennis, right? Karen talks about you. Only good things, I hope, I said. He chuckled, but Karen cut in too quickly. Of course I do. Don't make it weird, Lucas. The 4 of us stood there in a small circle. Karen kept glancing away. Lucas kept leaning in to talk to her. Emma barely spoke. When Mia asked to check out the bounce houses, I walked with her. Emma followed a few seconds later. Dennis, she said quietly, keeping her eyes on the kids. Did Karen enjoy her girls' trip? I nodded. She said she did. Emma exhaled through her nose, slow and tight. Lucas was out of town that same weekend. Said he had a work thing near the coast. She paused. That's strange timing, isn't it? I didn't answer. I didn't need to. She looked at me for the first time, and I saw it clearly. Fear, suspicion, and something like sympathy. When Mia ran back to us, Emma stepped away without another word. On the drive home, Karen talked nonstop about how fun the event was. I let her speak. I kept my voice calm. But inside, the pattern was forming. And the timeline made perfect sense. 3 days after the company event, I got a text from an unknown number while I was fixing dinner for Mia. This is Emma Hayes. I need to talk to you, privately. I stared at the message for a few seconds, then typed back, "Where?" She suggested a cafe on the east side of town. Quiet place. Nobody from Metro ever went there. Emma was already at a corner table when I walked in. She looked composed, but her hands kept tightening around her coffee cup. "Thanks for coming," she said softly. "Let's get straight to it," I replied, sitting down. She inhaled deeply. "I hired a private investigator. I actually hired him right before that weekend. Lucas told me he had a sudden work trip near the coast and it didn't add up." I didn't flinch. "For Lucas?" She nodded. "He cheated once before. I forgave him, but something felt familiar the last few months." She hesitated, eyes dropping to her drink. "The PI sent me the photos a week after the trip. I didn't know what to do at first. I thought maybe I was overreacting, but when I saw you at the company event, the way you were watching Karen, I realized you already suspected something too." She reached into her bag and pulled out a thin folder. "I think your wife is involved." I opened it. The first photo hit like cold water. Lucas and Karen walking into a beach hotel during the exact weekend Karen was on her girls' trip. They weren't being discreet. Their shoulders brushed. Karen was smiling in a way she hadn't smiled at home in months. I flipped to the next picture. Same day, different angle. Lucas holding the door for her, hand on her lower back. Emma watched my face carefully. "I wasn't sure if I should show you, but after that day, you looked like you already knew something was wrong." "I had suspicions," I said. "This confirms it." She nodded. "I'm not ready to confront Lucas. Not yet. I need more than photos. I need patterns, dates, messages, something solid." "I understand," I said. "So do I." That's when the alliance formed. Quiet, professional, emotionless. Both of us needed the truth. Over the next 2 weeks, we exchanged small updates. Nothing dramatic, just logs, receipts, travel records. Karen kept getting morning headaches, staying in the bathroom longer than usual. She dismissed it as stress. But after everything I'd seen, the excuses didn't settle. By the end of the second week, the picture was clear. Karen wasn't coming home tired. She was coming home used. And whatever I had seen so far was only the beginning. By the third week after the girls' trip, Karen barely tried to hide her late nights. She claimed she was busy preparing a presentation for a new hospital client. Her tone rehearsed, her body language stiff. Every excuse sounded like she was reading from a script. I didn't argue. I didn't question. I just nodded, kissed her cheek, and watched her leave. The GPS tracker told me the real story. Every late night ended at the same cheap hotel off Highway 12. Always the same time frame. Always the same pattern. So I picked a night when everything lined up and booked a room 1 floor above hers. I arrived an hour before she did. I waited behind my half-open door with my phone recording. At 7:58 p.m., Karen walked in through the side entrance. She wasn't dressed for work. Tight black pants, low-cut top, hair freshly curled. 2 minutes later, Lucas entered the building. They didn't come up together, but they didn't need to. I heard their voices in the hallway, soft at first, then fading into the room directly underneath mine. I pressed the phone to the floor. The hotel's walls were thin, too thin. I heard laughter. A door closing. Karen saying, "I missed you this weekend." I got it all. Not explicit, but enough. I left before they finished. I wanted to be home before Karen returned. I wanted her to see me looking half asleep on the couch so she could feed me another story. At 11:40 p.m., she walked into the living room. She smelled like unfamiliar cologne. "Long night?" I asked without opening my eyes all the way. She hesitated. "Yeah. The demo took forever. My head is killing me." "Go rest," I told her. She gave a forced smile and went upstairs. The next morning, I found the final piece. A positive pregnancy test in the bathroom trash. Karen never said a word about it. She acted normal, made pancakes, packed me as lunch, and rushed to work. But the timing didn't lie. This child couldn't be mine. Not with the dates. Not with the distance between us. Not with the evidence sitting on my phone. I put the test in a plastic bag, folded it into a manila envelope, and placed it in the safe. That was the moment I understood. The girls' trip wasn't just a trip. It was the beginning of something much bigger. And now I had every piece I needed to take the next step. 2 days after I found the pregnancy test, Karen announced she needed a mental reset. I'm going to stay with my sister Kinsley this weekend, she said while packing a small bag. I need space. Work is draining me. Kinsley lived 40 minutes away. Quiet neighborhood, safe, neutral ground. I smiled calmly. Sounds good. I'll come with you. Mia can stay with my brother. Karen froze for half a second. Just half a second. Enough for me to see the panic before she covered it. Sure, she said. Yeah, that's fine. We drove together in silence. She scrolled her phone the entire time, turning the screen away whenever it lit up. I just kept my hands on the wheel, letting her think I was clueless. Kinsley greeted us warmly when we arrived. She had no idea what was coming. Karen slipped into cheerful mode, laughing loudly at nothing, acting like the perfect wife. It was almost impressive how quickly she switched masks. That evening, Kinsley ran out to pick up dessert. The moment her car left the driveway, I turned off the TV. Karen, I said, sit down. She frowned. What? Why? Sit. My tone left no room for questions. She slowly lowered herself into the chair across from me. Her knee bounced under the table. Dennis, what's going on? I set my laptop down, connected it to Kinsley's TV, and hit play. The first image appeared. Karen and Lucas walking into the beach hotel during the girls' trip. Her face drained instantly. Dennis? I clicked to the next file. GPS logs. Bank receipts. The hotel hallway recording. Her voice saying, I missed you this weekend. She covered her mouth. That's taken out of context. No, I said. This is the context. I placed the pregnancy test, sealed in the plastic bag, on the table. Her eyes widened in shock. You went through my trash? You're pregnant, I said calmly, and the timing doesn't point to me. She broke. The mask fell apart. It wasn't supposed to happen, she whispered. Lucas said, I don't know, I was stressed. You don't understand. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't insult her. I didn't ask why. I slid the divorce papers across the table. I understand perfectly, I said. Sign them. We'll do a paternity test and handle this the right way. At that moment, Kinsley walked in carrying a box of pastries. She froze when she saw Karen crying and the photos on the TV. Karen? What did you do? Karen covered her face. And for the first time since the girls' trip, she had no script left. Karen didn't even look up. She kept her face buried in her hands, shaking like the truth itself was squeezing the air out of her. I unplugged the laptop and closed it. Kinsley, I said evenly, I'm filing for divorce. Karen and I will handle it with lawyers from here. Kinsley set the pastries down slowly. Her voice was small. Karen, tell me this isn't real. Karen didn't answer. I left the documents on the table and walked outside. I didn't slam the door. I didn't shout. The next week moved fast. My lawyer filed everything Monday morning. Paternity testing was ordered immediately. Meanwhile, Emma submitted the PI's full report, every photo, every timestamp, to Metro Health's HR department. By Thursday, the fallout hit. Lucas was fired first. Policy violation, inappropriate conduct with an employee, misuse of company travel funds, the whole list. Karen got called in the next day. She came home with her eyes red and her voice thin. They suspended me, she said quietly. They want to review my travel logs. I nodded. Makes sense. She glared at me, but the fight was gone. She was far enough along for a non-invasive prenatal test. We did the lab work, and 2 weeks later, the results arrived. A single sheet of paper delivered in a plain envelope. 0% probability of paternity. Not mine. Couldn't be. Karen read it while sitting at our kitchen counter. She didn't speak. She just placed the paper down carefully, like her life might shatter if she moved too quickly. I'm sorry, she whispered. Sorry doesn't change the truth, I replied. Court came next. Karen tried one last attempt at a narrative, claiming emotional neglect, stress, miscommunication. My lawyer countered with logs, receipts, evidence, and the paternity results. Her case collapsed instantly. I kept the house. I kept primary custody of Mia. Karen got supervised visitation until she could show stability. When the hearing ended, Karen chased me into the hallway. You ruined everything, she hissed. I looked her in the eye. No, Karen. You just got caught. She broke again, crying into her hands. The part of my life tied to her was over, and she knew it. After the court hearing, Karen moved into a small, one-bedroom apartment near the freeway. It wasn't dangerous, but it wasn't the cozy townhouse she used to brag about either. A month later, she lost her job at Metro Health. HR concluded she falsified travel logs and violated multiple company policies. She called me the day she was terminated. "They're lying," she said, her voice shaking. "They twisted everything. Lucas said he'd talk to them." "Lucas is gone," I interrupted. "He had disappeared right after HR fired him. Emma told me he emptied his office locker at night and left town before his severance review even started. Word around Metro Health was that he sold his car and moved to Arizona to stay with a cousin. No job, no marriage, no reputation left to hide behind." Karen didn't take it well. "He promised me we'd figure things out," she said. "He said he cared about me." "Karen," I said, "he cared about himself." She didn't reply. 2 weeks later, her life unraveled even further. The pregnancy hit her hard. Stress made everything worse. She started missing prenatal appointments, claiming she had no energy or money. She sent long texts late at night, apologizing, begging, bargaining, blaming. Sometimes she asked for help. Other nights, she accused me of ruining her future. There were moments she swore she'd fix everything if only I let her back in. But I never engaged emotionally. I kept everything strictly legal and brief. One evening she called me while I was making dinner for Mia. "Dennis, please, can you come over? I don't feel right." Her voice sounded small, fragile. "You have emergency care services near your apartment," I said. "Call them." She swallowed hard. Silence hung on the line. Finally she said, "I hate that you're calm. I hate that you act like I don't exist. And I hate that you lied to me for months," I replied. "Call the clinic, Karen. Don't call me again unless it's about the visitation schedule." A few months later, she gave birth alone. No Lucas, no job, no support except what the state offered. She sent me a picture once, eyes puffy, hair unwashed, holding an infant whose father had abandoned both of them before he was even born. I didn't respond. Emma finalized her own divorce around the same time. She got the house, her job promotion, and full custody of her son. She was rebuilding, healing, moving forward. And so was I. Mia and I settled into our routines, school drop-offs, weekend hikes, movie nights. My home felt peaceful for the first time in years. The weight Karen had brought into the house was gone. She lived her new life on the outskirts, alone, broke, humiliated, and raising a child whose father vanished the moment reality hit. Her choices had built the walls around her. Now she had to live inside them. Almost a year passed after the divorce, before life finally felt normal again. Our home felt lighter, quiet in the right ways, calm in a way I hadn't realized we'd been missing for years. One Friday afternoon, I picked Mia up from school and drove toward the coast for a simple weekend getaway. Not a sting operation, not a hunt for answers, just a father-daughter trip with no tension hiding in the back seat. We passed the exit to the beach town where Karen's girls' trip had taken place. That sign used to make my stomach tighten. Now it didn't hit me at all. Mia looked out the window, humming to herself. Peaceful, safe. My phone buzzed, a number I didn't recognize. I answered on speaker, keeping one hand on the wheel. "Dennis? It's me," Karen said. Her voice was thin, exhausted. I could hear an infant crying in the background. "What do you need?" I asked calmly. "I want to see Mia more," she said quickly. "Once a week isn't enough. I'm her mother. I deserve—" "You have a court order," I replied. "Follow it. Show consistency. Show stability. That's how you get more time." "You know I'm trying," she said, frustration creeping in. "I'm doing my best, Dennis. You turned everyone against me. I'm stuck in this apartment taking care of a baby alone while you live the perfect life." "Karen," I said, keeping my voice steady, "you built the situation you're in. I didn't choose this for you. You did." There was a long silence. Then a quiet, tired sob. "Can't we start fresh?" "No," I said simply. "We can move forward, but not backward. That version of us is gone." She sniffed hard, whispered something I couldn't make out, and hung up. No drama, no second thoughts. When we reached the coast, Mia jumped out of the car and ran toward the waves. I followed slowly. I thought about the man I had been at the start of all this, unsure, suspicious, walking blindly into lies. And then I thought about the man standing here now, steady, calm, in control. Revenge wasn't about hurting Karen or Lucas. It wasn't about destroying anyone. It was about reclaiming my life, protecting my daughter, refusing to live inside someone else's lies. And for the first time in a long time, I felt nothing pulling me backward. Thank you for watching.